auto insurance rates expected to increase 22% this year. And we're already at record highs. So Jill has sent this to me from the Epic Times. Look at this. Car insurance premiums hit record highs. Right now we're seeing some of the highest auto insurance premiums that we've ever seen. In fact, we're going to go down here real quick. And we see that according to BLS, average car insurance rates have increased more than 50% since August 2020, which is more than doubling the cumulative inflation rate. Right here, with an annual rate increase of 22% projected for 2024, as insurance underwriters work to claw back losses they incurred over the last several years. So what's some of the reasons these auto insurance rates are going up so much? You want to take a guess? High price of cars? Not really. High demand? A lot of people are buying cars because they got so much money? What could it possibly be, Josh? What has changed since Sniffy Joe got in office? Oh, illegal immigrants. Yes. 25, 30 million illegals who are on our roads, who are driving without insurance. That's what happens. Well, how do we know that? Because it happened to us. In 1997 or 8, when we lived in Phoenix, my wife was on 7th Street. 7th Street in, I want to say McClellan or something like that, down by Central Phoenix. I think it was 7th Street. And she got rear-ended by some illegals. Illegals took off. What did they illegals? I can't remember if they took off or not, but I think they did take off. The cop came, 30 minutes later, nonchalantly said, "Nothing we can do." So what do you mean? Because they don't have insurance. I think the illegals stayed. Now I think about it, because they said, "Hey, you got insurance?" I said, "Nope, no hablo español, no hablo inglés." They did. And so what happened? I can't remember if we filed a claim with USAA or not. I don't think we did. I think we just paid for it out of pocket because we didn't want our premiums going up. Happened to my dad, one of his friends in Alexandria, Old Town Alexandria in 93. Same thing happened to his friend. Rear-ended. Illegal just drove off, had no insurance. No one prosecuted the illegal. You're not supposed to be here. Didn't matter. And as such, the person who was not at fault had to pay the cost, which in this case, I don't know what happened to my dad's friend if they filed a claim. But if you file a claim with the insurance company, what do you think happens to your rates? What do you think happens? All right, on top of that, and back in the 90s, we used to have a case where illegals you're going up Squaw Peak Parkway, 51, north or south, you're merging on Squaw Peak. How dare you call Squaw Peak? Oh my goodness, I'm so offended. And that's what it's called, and that's what forever will be called to me. So what would happen is, and this never happened to me, but I've heard many a case of people telling me this story. Not just Squaw Peak. I had a friend that's happened on Squaw Peak, but it happens all over the place. So you're merging, right? So you're merging on the Squaw Peak Parkway, which is a highway in Central Phoenix. And then in front of you, boom, someone just slams their brakes on and you rear-end them. It is an illegal immigrant tactic to get money from your insurance company. Because if you rear-end somebody, you're at fault. Except illegal immigrants, because they don't have insurance. But you're at fault if you have insurance and you rear-end a legal immigrant who's not supposed to be here. And so you have to pay the claim. And what happens to your insurance premiums? Oh, they go up because you got to file a claim. All right. So now we got a huge increase in illegals running on this road, causing just look at what's going on in freaking Springfield, Ohio, where the Haitians are. They don't know how to drive. None of these people know how to drive. Massive amounts of accidents, more cars being totaled, which increases the auto insurance rates. It's just a basic, simple supply, basic economics. Let me share an example about basic economics here too, by the way. I was talking to my kid about one of my kids about economics, and I was talking about the story with Kayla, who I interviewed the other day, who lost everything because of Hurricane Helene. And we're just going in. I was telling him about the difference between supply and demand and what that's going to do to prices. So if we take our supply and demand curve here, all right, so we're going to just take blink, we're going to go like this, and hold on a second, to make sure I got our demand curve right there. It goes down as the prices go up. All right, so your demand goes down as this is their prices on the bottom. All right, so the number of units purchased goes down. This demand as the price goes up. Price this way, number of units purchased that way. Here's your supply curve. The supply goes up as the prices go up. All right. So we have the equilibrium here. This is our equilibrium where supply meets demand. Now, what happens when you have a hurricane that takes out all these houses? All right, so there's millions of houses are being taken out. Well, first and foremost, because people have no place to live, what does that do to the demand? It makes the demand curve go up. All right, so now our new demand curve, we call this D1. I guess you call it D2. I don't care. our initial demand curve. But now because we have so many people without houses, Kayla, for instance, what happens to her demand? It goes up. She doesn't have a house because she has no place to live. So inherently, she increases her demand. Now, what happens to supply? Well, Kayla's house is gone, as if another million houses are gone. So supply now goes backwards. All right, so supply goes, this is supply curve. It goes backwards. Here's our new supply curve, S1. And what does that do to price? Well, here's the new equilibrium right there. All right, so now all that does is it makes the price go up without question. Makes the, I guess you could say you get the gist. I'm not sure if this is the exact way in terms of the price and all that, but the prices go up when the demand curve goes back. When the demand curve goes higher and supply curve goes lower, the prices go up. And that's just a fact. So we have more prices for the same amount of quality, the same amount of product. Actually, we're going to have higher prices for a decreased amount of product. That's just a fact. Dude, that's just basic supply and demand. All right, so now we have more and more people driving on our roads. And I don't know how you put that as supply and demand, but we have less and less people insured. And guess what happens to the people who are not insured? They don't have to pay anything. They just drive away. And the people who are insured got to bear the brunt. This is what's happening. So check this out. This is something else that kind of ticked me off. Watch this. Today we talked about the real wages haven't increased at all in almost 20 years. They just haven't, according to BLS. In fact, since Sniffy Joe got in office, real wages have declined. Real is net of inflation. Real wages have gone down since Sniffy Joe's been in office. All right, so it's just a fact. So check this out on my Twitter page here. Twitter feed, we got my man, University of Arkansas economist Jeremy. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. And I actually like most of Jeremy's posts because I think he's realistic. I think he's a little bit too heavy in the economic stuff, which is our graphs and charts show everything how it's supposed to work and all that, and I don't buy any of that. But be it as it may, there is some in microeconomics makes sense. Kind of like microevolution makes sense. Macroeconomics is stupid. Kind of like macroevolution is stupid too. Anyway, so he posts this right here. He says the working age native-born population is not growing. This is primarily due to birth rates 25 years ago. The working age foreign age population is growing. But if we look at unemployment rates for working age people in the U.S., the natives do better, and both are at record levels. And he says, so native born right here, at the working age 25 to 54, natives are doing better than foreign born. All right, but that doesn't mean anything. I mean, it means something. I don't want to dismiss that outright, saying that's meaningless. It is something. I mean, there are more people working than ever before. I get it. But that's not the question. The real question, as I posted it here, I said, the real question is, what are these jobs, though? Being employed full-time, being employed in a job with a growing wage base? Because the fact is, real wages have not increased since 2006, according to BLS, and in fact have gone down under Biden. Indeed, there are jobs, but are foreigners taking the better jobs. And many of you know this to be true. Many of you know we're outsourcing, we're getting cheaper labor. Dude, if an immigrant wants to come here and crush, I'm all about that. But that doesn't mean we should roll out the red carpet for every freaking Tom, Dick, and Harry says, I want to come here and crush. We should take care of our own first. That's just a fact. Now, again, that doesn't mean we say, hey, Martha, you got to keep your job because a foreigner is going to take it for 15% less. No, I'm not saying that at all. But I'm just saying at the end of the day, the labor costs have not, or I should say the real wages haven't increased. And the reason they haven't increased is because this influx of massive amount of foreign labor, which will work for cheaper. That might sound good in the short term, and frankly it is. In the long term, that's not good. In fact, I'll tell you what I'm reading right now. Check this out. Of British coal miners in the Civil War decade. All right, so check this out. In 1862, almost all the immigrants entering the United States who listed their occupation as miner were from Britain. As shown in the table, such men accounted for more than 73% of all immigrant miners in each of the following years of the decade for which is available. All right, so that's very interesting to me. Now, why were they coming here? Well, because the British coal mining industry wasn't paying very well. So they could come here and make more money. That's just a fact. Now, they're making more money, but was it relative to Americans already here? Well, there are high-paying jobs here relative to the Brits coming over. Were they coming in and cutting the price of the native-born Americans? Probably, because we were paying more than they were in Europe, even though in Britain in particular, even though there were massive coal mines in Britain, but they weren't paying crap because of the politics of that time and how horrible it was to live there. So they come over here, they make more money, but they make more money compared to their namesakes back in Britain, but relative to the United States citizens who are here. Now, you can make an argument there wasn't enough people doing the mining. I grant you that. What does that do to wages, though? No one can argue that bringing in cheap labor, be it immigrants, Brits. Oh, by the way, when they say, people of color built this country. Oh, yeah, coal didn't build this country. No way, man. No, we didn't have any need for coal. And I think Brits are white. I know it's kind of crazy because we think like wasps. I think that's like the definition of a white guy. And so Brits are coming here mining and not really a skilled labor. But remember, whites didn't do anything to build the country. It's just all people of color. Anyway, so the point being is that's what happened to wages. It'll happen throughout history. And this isn't to say these people are bad. I mean, if I was a freaking guy in Haiti, I'd come here too. But you know what we didn't do? We didn't roll out the red carpet for the Brits coming here to work in the coal mines. We didn't give them free housing, free stipend, freaking debit cards, the whole thing. We said, yeah, you want to come here and work? You're going to work, but we're not going to give you crap. Now, I don't know what they lived in West Virginia and Pennsylvania, coal mine, probably company towns, but a lot of these immigrants from Ireland came over and lived in tenement housing in New York City, Boston, whatnot, Chicago. And never mind the Chinese who came here. They're probably freaking living in tents because they were treated horribly, horribly. That's why we had California had like an anti-Chinese law and all that stuff. And horrible conditions. But let's not pretend what happens to the native born and their wages. They go down, man. That's just a fact because they're being undercut from cheap labor. And to dismiss that, say, well, they still got a job. I find that so academically, it is academic, Ivy Tower crap. It drives me up the wall, man. Anyway, there's your reason why car insurance rates are going up that no one's going to talk about. I just told you what it is, and just a fact, dude. No one else is going to talk about it. I wonder if they're in this article they're saying anything about the illegals. Let's check this out. In calculating rates, insurance companies consider not only the payments they've already made, but also the likelihood to have to pay more in the future. Insurance data indicate a sharp increase in America's bad driving habits during the years following COVID. That just happens to be at the time. They don't talk about immigration here. I just find that it's the topic that can't be talked about. All right, God bless. Paw the like button. We'll see you.